Let's now take a look at a production technique called sidechaining, a very common process used in a lot of electronic dance music productions. So in this tutorial, we're going to take a look at sidechain compression, sidechain gating, as well as sidechain filtering. Alright, so what exactly happens in sidechain compression? Let's take a look at this section of the track here. I have this synth part, and I would like to sidechain compress it to the kick drum. Let's have a listen to this. So you notice how the synth part is kind of intrusive. It's pretty consistent and it's coming in the way of many of the other elements in the track. So with sidechain compression, what we can do is force the synth to duck out of the way every time another element in the track is heard. And that element is going to be the kick drum. Alright, so let's set this up. I'm going to add a compressor on this track here. So we'll go into Dynamics and load in the compressor. Now there's a little sidechain toggle button here. Let's click on it. And now we can engage sidechain mode. We now need to define where this audio is going to come from that this compressor is going to listen to. So I want it to listen to the kick drum. My drums is in this Alley Cat kit. So I'll select that. Now currently, if I just leave it at this, it's going to listen to the entire drum kit. If I scroll down and have a listen to the drum kit. Now there are many elements in the drum kit. I don't want that sidechain compressor to listen to all of it. I just want it to listen to the kick drum. So in the second drop down, I can select individual elements from that drum rack. So I believe this is the kick drum. You can select pre-effects, post-effects, and post-mixer. I'm going to select pre-effects. So this compressor is just going to listen to the kick drum without any of the processing that has been applied to that kick drum. Alright, next we have to adjust the threshold and ratio. I'm going to switch to this view. It's smaller and a little bit easier to deal with. So I'll bring the threshold down. Keep an eye on the gain reduction. This shows us when the compressor is being active, and you can see here it's ducking out every time the kick is playing. I'm also going to increase the ratio. And now let's unsolo and have a listen to this in context. So in isolation, you can clearly hear how the synth is ducking out of the way every time the kick drum is playing. Now it's coming back up pretty quickly, and I don't want that to happen, so I'll increase the release time here. So you notice how the rise back up is a bit more gradual now. Right, let's hear this in context again. And there you go. So that is sidechain compression. Alright, I'm going to turn this off. And let's now take a look at sidechain gating. So here's the gate device. Now a gate is used to cut out a particular signal once it drops below a threshold. So here you define a threshold for the gate. I'll set this return all the way down to 0. So this is that fixed threshold. If the signal crosses this threshold, we will hear the signal. If it drops below it, we won't hear it at all. You can define that noise floor. I'll bring it all the way down to the lowest. So if you listen to the synth by itself here, without any sidechain gating, so you can hear just a wee bit of that signal crosses that threshold, and that's all that we hear. If I bring it down, we hear most of it. If I bring it way up, we hear none of it. Alright, so that's kind of boring. Let's introduce some sidechaining in this. So here again we have the sidechain option, and this time let's use the entire drum kit. Right, so not just the kick or the snare, but the entire drum kit. So when the entire drum kit crosses the threshold, we will hear this sound. I'll bring the threshold down a bit more. Let's hear this with the drums. So now we have this perfect synchronization on the rhythmic element of the synth with the drums. Doesn't particularly work with the vibe of this track, but hopefully you understand the process and you can try this out in your productions. Alright, last one here. Let's take a look at sidechain filtering. So I'll close out of Dynamics, let's open up EQ and Filters, and let's load in the Auto filter. Alright, same deal here. So I can open up this section here, engage sidechain, and listen to an external signal. Again, let's listen to the entire drum kit. And now this signal is going to be filtered based on that incoming drum kit signal. Now for the Auto filter to work in sidechain mode, we need to increase this envelope amount. Alright, let's try it out now. Let's hear it with the synth soloed. I can adjust the release there, as well as the attack. Let's hear this with the drums. Adjusting the attack and release will shape the way the filter frequency is opening up and closing back down. Let's hear this in context with the entire track. Again, may not work for this style of a track, but it's a very cool technique to add some rhythmic movement in your static synth elements. Alright, so that is sidechaining in Ableton Live.